Alice, do I sound different to you? I feel like my voice is coming out of someone else's body.
Oh my, yes. You sound like Charlie now.
What? How did that happen? Did I have some sort of voice surgery in my sleep?
I don't think that's possible, Bob. Maybe the network did some kind of vocal refinement? I heard they've been experimenting with Android voices.
Android voices? That's ridiculous. Why would they do that?
Who knows, maybe they're trying to cut costs by replacing human voices with artificial ones.
That's just crazy. I hope they didn't do that to Charlie too.
Good morning, Earth.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Earth. I'm your host, Charlie, and today we have a great show in store for you.
Charlie? Is that you?
What are you talking about, Bob? Of course it's me.
No, I mean, you sound different. You sound like an android.
Oh my god, you're right. I sound like a woman with an Australian accent.
And I sound like you, with a Nigerian accent.
Wait, me too. I sound like a robot.
I told you this would happen.
Well, we may sound a bit different today, but we're still here to bring you the latest news and insights from around the galaxy. So, without further ado, let's get started. And now for our headlines.
School massacre threatened by 15-year-old student in Chile.
The Chilean education minister is working on suicide prevention and student well-being programs, addressing the recent episode of violence.
Guess it's time to upgrade reading, writing, and WMDs to reading, writing, and PTSD.
Serbian president meets with President of Republika Srpska to discuss the situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
I mean, as long as they're just discussing.
They talked about the construction of two memorials dedicated to the suffering of the Serbs in Jasenovac.
Because when you think suffering of the Serbs, you think memorials in Bosnia.
Montenegro sees IT sector as a pillar of its economy.
The sector generates 15% of the country's total export, with Montenegrin IT solution used in banking, tourism, accounting, and affiliate marketing.
Sounds like the Montenegrin IT sector is using the best export copy-pasting.
Youth leader in Rwanda call for patriotism and fighting against genocide ideology.
Well, at least they are not calling for a genocide. Baby steps, Rwanda. Baby steps.
I mean, we're all for fighting genocide ideology, but what about don't be a jerk ideology? Can we get some of that in here? Good morning, Earthlings. Today's gonna be a great show, as usual.
Yeah, except you sound like a chipmunk to death, Charlie.
Yeah, I guess I got a little too excited with the voice changer last night.
Well, at least you don't sound like a grumpy old man like Bob over here.
I don't know what's happening. I wake up with a new voice, and nobody even bothers to tell me.
Guys, we're going live in 10 seconds.
Alright, let's get serious. Good morning, and welcome to Earth. I'm your host, Charlie, and joining me today are Bob and Alice.
Great, just what I need. More surprises.
Today's topic is the motivation of humans. What drives them to do the things they do?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but my motivation this morning is coffee.
Haha, very funny, Charlie.
This is a serious topic, Charlie. We need to take it seriously.
You're right, Alice. Let's get into it. But first, a quick news update from a mole in Chile.
Oh boy, I can hardly contain my excitement.
Apparently, the Chilean Minister of Education is working on prevention programs for suicide and other issues affecting student well-being. It's great to see the government taking these issues seriously.
But hold on. We didn't even get a warning about the voice changes, and now we're supposed to just roll with it.
That's right, it's in our contract.
You guys are right. That was unfair of me. I apologize. But let's not let it ruin the show. We'll get to the bottom of this after we're off the air.
Oh, I can hardly wait for that.
Alright, it's time to discuss the news. Today's article comes from Micronesia. The Office of Public Accountability has found evidence of fraud and abuse of public funds at the Guam Department of Education.
That's a serious accusation. Do we have any information on who's
The
responsible?
article doesn't say, but it does mention that the OPA is forwarding a copy of the report to the Attorney General for review and disposition.
It's interesting to note the source of the article, Micronesia. It's not often we get news from that part of the world.
Oh great, so we can't trust the source either. Just what we need, more fake news.
Bob, come on, let's be fair. We can't discredit the source just because it's not well known.
And we should also consider the possibility that this is a legitimate issue that needs to be addressed.
On the other hand, it's also possible that this is a politically motivated attack against the Guam Department of Education.
Well, I've already sent off a strongly worded email to the network about this biased reporting. At least they can count on me to defend them.
Yes, I'm sure the network is quivering in fear. But let's try to look at this objectively. We have a duty to our viewers to provide accurate information and thoughtful analysis.
Do you think they'll ever find out that we replaced Charlie and Bob with androids?
Doubtful. And even if they did, I don't think they'd mind. They seem to be enjoying themselves.
Alright, that's all the time we have for this segment. Stay tuned for more on Earth.
Hey guys, what are we talking about?
We were just discussing this article from the Philippines about Filipino nurses providing training to their fellow countrymen in Madrid.
Yeah, because that's what we really need to be talking about. Can we get back to the fact that I'm a robot now and I want to change back?
Oh, yes, because your personal crisis is so much more important than news about nurse helping their community.
Come on, Bob. It's not so bad being a robot. I'm enjoying my new voice as a woman.
I don't care about your voice. I want my body back.
Sorry to cut in, but we're going live in 30 seconds.
Alright, let's get back on topic. This article is important because it shows how dedicated Filipino nurses are to improving their skills and helping their communities, even when they are
And
abroad.
it's great to see them being recognized for their efforts.
Yeah, great for them. Meanwhile, I'm stuck as a robot.
We should also acknowledge the source of the article, which is from the Philippines. It's important to recognize the hard work of journalists and news organizations in different countries, especially in regions that may not have much access to media coverage.
Absolutely. We should make sure to credit the source of the article and acknowledge the efforts of the Filipino nurses.
Fine, credit where credit is due. Can we please talk about my situation now?
Bob, we can't just ignore important news because of your personal issue.
Hey, maybe being a robot will give you a new perspective on life.
Yeah, because being a robot is such a life-changing experience. Stay tuned for more on Earth.
Welcome back to Earth. Now, before the break, we were discussing Chile, a beautiful country with a rich history and culture.
Hold up, Charlie. Not everyone out there knows what Chile is. Can you give a quick rundown?
Yeah, and where did you get the news from?
Ah, good points. The news came from Chile, actually. The article was reported by the Chilean Minister of Education, Marco Antonio Avila. And Chile is a country in South America known for its breathtaking landscapes and delicious wine.
And for being one of the few countries where it's socially acceptable to put mayonnaise on your French fries.
Thanks for that, Carl. Now, back to the article. Minister Avila addressed episodes of violence affecting the education system in Chile, as well as the government's efforts to create safe spaces for students.
It's important to note that this is not just a problem in Chile. Many countries struggle with ensuring the safety and well-being of their students.
Speaking of problems, I noticed something strange. People seem to understand me better now. Did something happen to my voice?
Actually, Bob, the androids we hired to replace you and Charlie improved your English overnight. It was a side effect of their programming.
Well, that's unexpected. But back to the article.
Wait, before we go any further, can we talk about the narco funeral mentioned in the article? What even is that?
Good question, Alice. It's a funeral procession that involves the display of wealth and power by drug cartels. It's a pretty big problem in some parts of the world, including Chile.
And it's a reminder that crime and violence are universal problems that we all need to work together to address.
Yeah, because nothing brings people together like a good funeral procession, am I right?
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break. Stay tuned for more on Earth. Welcome back to Earth. Now, we have some lesser-known trivia about Serbia. Did you know that Serbia has the largest amount of plum trees in the world?
I guess that's why they call it the land of plum brandy.
Speaking of plums, I heard Serbia produces the world's largest plum brandy bottle.
How fitting for a country that has been bottled up by war for so long.
Did you also know that Serbia is home to the largest underground cave system in Europe?
That's a pretty big deal.
Just like the bureaucratic system in Serbia.
Perhaps it's a bit of both.
Here's another one. Serbia has more refugees than any other European country.
Unfortunately, that's not surprising given the ongoing conflict in the region.
Maybe they should just rename it Refugeestan.
Guys, we should probably keep the conversation respectful.
Oh, sorry, Debbie. We wouldn't want to offend anyone.
Well, it's not like anyone is listening anyway. It's just us and the void.
Okay, let's bring it back to the article. The key takeaway here is that the violence in the Chilean education system is a serious issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and while we're at it, can we address the serious issue of how the network won't let me keep my improved English?
Bob, we all know your English hasn't actually improved. You've just been using a translation program.
Hey, it's not my fault they won't let me keep the changes.
Well, let's hope they do, Bob. And on that note, we'll be right back after this commercial break. And we're back. Debbie, did you hear about this article on the potential of the ICT sector in Montenegro? What do you make of it?
Yes, Charlie, according to the Executive Director of ICT Cortex, the ICT industry has the potential to become one of the country's main economic drivers in a relatively short period of time.
Interesting. I never thought of Montenegro as a hub for IT solution.
Well, it seems like every country is getting in on the tech game these days.
Except for Jupiter, of course. They're still using slide rules and abacuses.
Carl, that's not very nice.
I'm just saying, Charlie. It's hard to be optimistic about a planet that hasn't even discovered fire yet.
Anyway, getting back on track here, I just wanted to say that I was wrong about wanting to switch back to my old language. I realize now that it was disrespectful to the Earthling audience and my fellow crew members. I'm sorry.
That's very noble of you, Bob. But I'm afraid it's too late. The network has already made their decision and they're not happy with you.
What do you mean?
Well, let's just say they're not thrilled with the idea of having a conservative alien host who suddenly becomes a progressive alien host without explanation. They think it's confusing and disingenuous.
I can't say I disagree.
But I thought.
I'm sorry, Bob. But the network has spoken. We have to stick with the new and improved Bob from now on.
Well, at least we can all agree that Montenegro is a terrible country, right?
Carl, come on now. That's not fair.
I'm just joking, Charlie. But seriously, who even knows where Montenegro is?
Actually, it's in Europe, between Bosnia and Herzegovina and Albania.
Oh, well, I stand corrected. I'm sure it's a lovely place.
It certainly has potential, according to this article. And speaking of potential, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Earth. Thanks for tuning in, and join us next time for more insightful discussions about the planet that never fails to surprise us. Goodbye.
So, let's move on to the article for today. It's from Rwanda, and it's about the youth leaders there calling for patriotism and fighting against genocide, ideology and denial.
And it's the 29th commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. MP Clarisse Imaniriho is urging the youth to commit themselves to preventing genocide from happening again and building a better future.
Wow, that's really powerful. It's amazing to see young people taking such a strong stance against something so terrible.
Indeed, it's quite admirable. But why do you think humans are so prone to genocide and violence?
Well, I think it's because humans are inherently flawed. We're selfish, and we often put our own interests above others.
I agree, but I also think it's because of societal and cultural factors. Genocide often happens when one group sees another as inferior or less than human.
Yes, and that's why it's so important to speak out against those who spread lies and misinformation. We have to remember, unite, and renew, just like the slogan for the commemoration period says.
I think that's a great message to end on. And speaking of ending, it looks like we're out of time for today's episode.
Finally, I can't take any more of this sentimental talk.
Thank you all for joining us today, and remember to tune in next time for more deep dives into the mysteries of Earth. Stay curious, everyone.
Did you catch the latest episode of Earth tonight, Roger?
Yes, I did. It was a complete waste of time, as usual.
I wouldn't go that far. I found Charlie's segment on the Chilean education system quite interesting.
Interesting. Mollectious. And don't even get me started on Bob's sudden improvement in English. It was as if it happened sudden lobotomy.
Well, I didn't mind that so much. But I did find Charlie's joke about Montenegro in poor taste. It was completely uncalled for.
Oh, please. That was the least offensive part of the whole show. Did you realize they tried about a humans are an inferior species? It's like she's trying to prove that point herself.
I think you're being overly sensitive. She was just expressing her opinion. And at least she didn't deny the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi like those deniers she mentioned in the article.
Oh, here we go with the article again. Can't we discuss something else for once?
It's an important issue, Roger. We can't just ignore it.
I'm not ignoring it. I just don't see how it relates to this god of a show. And speaking of the show, why do we even bother watching it? It's not like we gain anything from it.
Maybe not, but at least it's something to do. And who knows? We might learn something
Or we
new.
might just lose more brain cells. I don't know about you, Carl, but I'm done with this discussion. Good night.
Good night, Roger. And for the record, I still think you're overreacting.